Hello Exiles, and this is my build guide video for a build that I did a few weeks ago, and as you can see in the background here, this is the video that I did for it. Now, it was a very fast build and I asked people to comment on it, and I asked people to give me if they wanted me to do a build guide on it. Now, a few of the comments said that it wasn't fast enough and I wasn't hitting the breakpoints that I should be hitting. So I rethought my build and I went back to the drawing board and went and looked back at all of the breakpoints, every piece of gear, how I can increase it, how I can get it faster, how I can get it as fast as possible so that it would be nearly as fast as the Tornado Lightning Warp build from last league. And I think I am practically there. I took it for a map to showcase it, and I was absolutely phenomenal. I would like to bring you version 2 of Frostblink Poet's Pen of Wintry Blast. Hello Exiles, and today we're going to be discussing my version 2 of my Frostblink of Wintry Blast Poet's Pen build. Now, as you just saw in the intro there, the first build that I did wasn't really utilizing everything in the build, and obviously I've gone away and come back and obviously tried to master it to try and get it absolutely, if not perfect, very close to perfect. Now, before we go any further and before we kind of discuss anything, I'm going to say straight off the bat, as of recording this video today, so today is the 12th of February 2024, just to be clear, the cost of two jewels is 177 divines, and that's just for 2 jewels. That's none of the gear that I'm wearing. That's literally Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh. Okay, if that is out of your budget, then this build is not for you, because there is a lot of high expensive items in this build. I think I probably put around about a mirror and a half, around about a mirror, just over a mirror into it so far. So it's a case of, if you don't have that sort of budget, then don't. If you try and build it and you've only got 100 divine, it will not get to the speeds that I have got to. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So without further ado, let's jump in. I'm going to quickly run through the gear that I'm wearing, but again, what we'll then do is after that we'll jump into Path of Building, and I will go through the calculations with you, because the calculations are very, very important for the build. The main 2 things that you need to focus on is attack speed and cooldown reduction. The rest is just a bonus. So first of all, we are utilizing, as you can see here, Poet's Pen. Now please bear in mind that this is a max rolled Poet's Pen. As you can see there, it's got 12% attack speed and the attacks per second is 1.68. That is an absolute minimum that you need to go into this build with. And if you go and check how much one of these is, this one I think was around about 60 to 80 divine, if I remember rightly, just because it is max rolled pretty much. Now, the damage penetrates 10% of elemental resistances is the best corruption that you want, because you are doing cold damage, so you want to basically hit them as hard as possible. The next item, I'm going to go through the gems in a minute. Next item is obviously a Squire. Now, that is to utilize the items that are in your Poet's Pen so that you can then practically have a 6 link. As you can see there, socketed support gems can also support skills from your main hand. So basically these gems that are in here support these 3. Okay, so you've got a 6 link even though you've got 2 3 links. Now the squire on here, it does have a +1 to the level of socketed gems. This is, it is not ideally needed, but it is very, very, very helpful, because one of the things that this build struggles with is mana cost. So the cost of Frostblink to cast. So you need inspiration to be as high as possible. Even just that 1% reduced mana cost, which you will lose by losing this 1 level, could potentially mean that you will then be mana starved. This build is very, very precise, and even if you was to take that on and put a regular squire, you may run into mana issues. So I'm just putting that out there. The +1 level of socketed gem squire, as you can imagine, is not cheap either. This was about 100, I think it was around about 120 divine for this. So as you can see already, we're nearly at 200 divine, and we're only talking about 2 items. The next thing you need is you do need a +1 to maximum power charge helmets. Now what I would probably advise you to do is just try and get one with as much resistances as possible, because this build is resistance starved if you go down the route that I went down. It's entirely up to you, but to get it functional you are going to need resistances, otherwise you will just instantly get popped the first map you walk into. It does need a badge of the Brotherhood. Sorry, I forgot to say that you do need to have the +1 to maximum power charge. That is very important. Okay, badge of the Brotherhood, it is mandatory. On there, if you see the increased cooldown recovery rate of travel skills per frenzy charge, you need that to be 10%. If it is not 10%, the build will not function, because you are running with this build 9 power charges and 9 frenzy charges. Now, as you can imagine, that is 90% cooldown. If you get 9%, then obviously you are going to lose quite a bit of cooldown. Next item we have is a Dahlia's Malefaction. Now, as you can see here, this one is double corrupted. Now, I actually double corrupted this one myself, so you don't necessarily need to go for this, but I got +1 to the socketed gems and +2 to the level of socketed curse gems. Now, you don't necessarily need the curse gems, because you're not really doing a curse setup in your chest. If you can get something that maybe says +2 to the level of, just trying to think, maybe projectile skills, if you can get that one, projectile skills, or support. I don't think you can get support gems. Yeah, whatever you get, but even if you just get +1 to the level of socketed gems, that will be fine. We'll come back to the rings in a minute. The belt is very simple. It's literally just a 100% increased effect, Darkness Enthroned, and that is basically just to kind of make the most of your duels. So you will double the effectiveness of your duels. You do get a lot of attack speed from these 2 duels. These 2 duels we are running here, don't worry about any of the other mods. The only 2 that are more important for you is the dex. You need the dex and increased attack speed if you've dealt a critical strike recently. That means that is then turned into 16% because of the belt. The other one is, again, has dex, it had global critical strike chance, it had life, and it had 8% increased attack speed. I thought I would get this just for a bit of bonus life, a bit of dex, a bit of intelligence, and then again it's got 16% increased attack speed again. So there is 32% increased attack speed just sat in this belt, which is pretty massive. The boots, again, are mandatory, and you do need to get them max rolled with the 80% increased cooldown recovery rate of travel skills, because as you can imagine, we are stacking cooldown. I think the build rocks in total over 300% cooldown reduction, and I will go through the figures with you in a minute. Now, the gloves are, it's entirely up to you what you want to do here, but you do definitely need dex. That is like mandatory, because you are very dex starved. In terms of the attack speed, that 18%, that is going to massively help you. I am toying up whether to change the unnerve on the implicit for this for further attack speed. I'm not too sure yet. It may increase, I think it will increase the trigger rate, so that is something that I will have a play around with. But if you want to test it yourself, you're more than happy to, because it's only a 3-second job. You can literally just hit it till you hit attack speed. First thing you need to do though, if you do that, is you need to check your trigger rate has not gone down. If it has, then go back to unnerve. Okay, I've not messed around with it because I've literally only just finished the build. Now, in terms of the rings, as you can see here, this is my power charge ring that you will probably remember from my Penance brand build. I have kept it and I've used it and I am utilizing it in this build. Now, you do need this power charge ring. Now, this in itself is expensive. I mirrored this one off Seb K, but if you can get a power charge ring with attack speed on it, then that will obviously be a bonus. You do need it to have the -7 to total mana cost. That is mandatory, otherwise you will really struggle with the actual cost of it. Now, you could mirror this, however you're going to be elementally resistance starved. So on the other ring, I got a really good ring that I managed to ROG. This is a ROG craft, would you believe? ROG crafted this for me. 56 fire, 57 cold, 56 lightning. Obviously that is obviously boosted with the resistance quality that I did, and obviously it's got the quality on there as well of the, which I need to roll as well, but it's max rolled. I'm res capped anyway, so I'm not really bothered about it, but that obviously gives me like nearly 70% on some of the reses, which is massive. The attack damage leads to life, because you are attacking with frenzy. That is an attack. It doesn't do massive amounts of damage, as you can see there. It does a bit of cold, bit of lightning, bit of fire, bit of fizz. But out of that, you are then leeching a bit of life off it. So that does help. It's not mandatory. It's just a bonus. So I thought flat fire, flat cold, 3 resists with a leech. And then I threw on the craft of non-channeling. Can't go wrong. So that is a very nice ring. And that is pretty much it in terms of the gear. Obviously flask wise, this is purely optional, but I'm running a Taste of Hate just for a bit more survivability. I'm running a Jade flask. If you notice there, the increased attack speed, that will massively help you. So I would make sure that you do get that on a flask. The crit strike chance, with the increased crit strike chance on it, will also help you because you'll crit a lot more. The reduced mana cost of skills craft on this is also mandatory. Now, it doesn't matter what flask you get it on, as long as you get it on one of them, because that makes the Frostblink have a 0 cost of mana. And then the last one is just a nice life flask with instant recovery. I could potentially get a better one of this. I just slapped it in just for the time being. It's just so that you could understand that's kind of how you would do it. In terms of if you really wanted to go and spend quite a lot of money, you could go with an Oriath End for the Explodey, and you could go with a Progenesis. So if you wanted to get rid of these last two here, you could go with Progenesis and Oriath's End, but you would need to make sure that that attack speed is on one of these two. So one would need to have the reduced mana cost, and one would need to have the increased attack speed. Otherwise, the build will not work. Going into the skill tree now, obviously you very simply go up here, come up here, there is a nice Watcher's Eye here. What you are looking for here is the 50% increased cooldown recovery rate of movement skills while affected by haste. Now we are running with haste, so that is obviously essential because we do need the cooldown. It does need to be 50%. If it's not 50%, it won't work properly. The second mod or third mod, whichever Watcher's Eye you want to go for, if you can get something with Zealotry, then it will help because you are going to be running Zealotry. I just got that because it was on there. It was quite cheap. This was only 10 divines. So it's a case of, if you want to go expensive, then you can get one that does give you a bit more damage. That's entirely up to you. If you go down the right hand side here, I'm then running a That Which Was Taken, which does give me a bit of suppressed spell damage, gives me a bit of area of effect per power charge, so that increases the area of effect of the Frostblink when you bounce into the next one. It gives you Onslaught, which obviously gives you increased attack, cast and movement speed, which again is pretty much mandatory. It will help. It gives you obviously a massive chunk of attack speed, so we do need that. And the last mod on here, the increased critical strike chance, if you haven't dealt a crit strike recently, basically means that you have a chance to basically always crit. Moving on back up here, we then do have a cluster jewel, which is running with inspired oppression and prismatic heart, which is these two here. So this gives you elemental resistances, so that does help you because you are obviously elemental starved, but it does also give you 30% elemental damage because you are doing cold damage. The Inspired Oppression gives you again elemental damage. It gives you mana regen. Obviously, if you are obviously struggling with a mana regen, that will help. And it also gives increased effect of non-damaging ailments because we are chilling enemies. Then in here we then have a regular jewel. The main two stats you need to be looking for are increased attack speed 5%, increased attack speed with wands 8%. Those are pretty much mandatory. You do need to get those. If you can get anything else that works well with your build, so I got spell damage because Frostblink is a spell, and increased mana regen just for a bit of added mana regen, that's a bonus. It has an implicit on there of you cannot be maimed. That's just, it is what it is. I just managed to find one. Next one again, 5% increased attack speed, and again 8% increased attack speed with wands. Now you ideally want to get one that has reduced mana cost of skills, because if you don't, it will start to impact. So you do need to get at least one jewel with that on it, because it will massively help you. That is pretty much a perfect jewel. If I could get 2 of those, it would be perfect, and I would put them on there, but for now I'll have to make do. On the left hand side is the most expensive part, which is the Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh. We are running with Forbidden Power. Now, Forbidden Power is the ascendancy that provides you with 1 extra power charge from the occultists, and it also gives you increased damage and increased area of effect, if I remember rightly. So that is quite expensive just for those 2 jewels. Again, on this side we are running with Blanketed Snow and again Doriani's Lesson. So Blanketed Snow basically penetrates cold resistance against chilled, so you're always chilling, and obviously you are leeching life with your elemental damage to kind of stay alive, and again more elemental damage. The other 2 here literally just give you more area of effect and a bit more life, so 8% increased maximum life and area of effect, and area damage and increased area of effect per power charge, and we have that twice stacked up. Now I've took the extra point here just because I didn't know where else to put it in terms of points. In terms of the tree itself, obviously we've come over here, we've got the 50 life, we need the resistances, so we took this. On this one we get the extra power charge, and we take the 3% increased damage per power charge. On the right here we are taking these increased effects of chill and these increased cast speed, and cast speed, because that will massively help you. We're picking up auras from your skills have 10% increased effect, so that is massively helpful in terms of haste, because that gives you attack speed. We are then picking up a chance to suppress spell damage, it's like a tongue twister, is lucky, and we are then picking up as well increased effect of non-damaging ailments that you inflict with critical strikes. So it's all about non-damaging ailments. You want to make sure that you pick up this power charge because you need it, and this power charge here because you need it. We're picking up obviously down here a bit more crit. We're going over to the left side of the tree now. We then pick up obviously mana reservation just to help you with your mana, and again increased effect of non-curse auras. Picking up again life and a bit of res. Make sure you pick up the other power charge, and you can pick up the endurance charge. Now this you are running with a lethal pride. Now if you want to do a bit of checking on this, on which one is best, I've ran here with one with 5% chance to deal double damage, 5% chance to deal double damage, and 5% chance to deal double damage. So I have a 15% chance to do double damage, which is very good. And then there is also increased physical damage on this one, and on this one you take 10% reduced extra damage from crit strikes, which is always good. The rest is literally just going to give you strength, so it's across the board. Then going down here we need to go for reduced mana cost of skills, and again reduced cost of mana skills. Now like I said, you are very mana starved, so you need this. In terms of the actual ascendancy, we are going up to the right here for a bit more survivability. So we are picking up Primal Aegis, which obviously provides you with the elemental damage per level. So obviously provides you with a shield, which then provides you, if we go back into game, up here, 2,775. But obviously once you are level 100, it will then provide you with, because I'm currently level 99, it will then provide you with another 75 extra shield. So if you are level 100, then you will get a little bit of a bigger shield. You don't have to worry about reflected elemental damage because you're taking this. Going down here, all of your damage can chill, which is obviously a bonus, and obviously 50% more effects of cold ailments. So all of your chills obviously are massively influenced by all of your tree, and you have all this increased effect of chill. Going over to this side with them also picking up exposure, obviously gives the enemies a minus 25 to their resistance, and obviously helps you with the mana if you have exposed recently. We are picking up exposure on our gloves, which I'll tell you in a minute, and we are also gauging gain convergence when we hit a unique enemy no more than once every 8 seconds, and we have 60% increased effect area of effect, sorry, when we have convergence. So on the gloves here, as you can see, we are inflicting cold exposure on hit, which obviously then lowers their resistances, so that then procs your ascendancy. And that is basically it. In terms, you are obviously also, sorry, forgot to do the anoints. So on the amulet we are running with Fleetfoot. So with Fleetfoot is this one right down the bottom down here, which gives you 30% increased cooldown recovery rate of movement skills. So there's another 30% CDR, and movement speed is always a bonus. The other one that we are taking is on the boots. We are taking Ash, Frost and Storm, which is here. Ash, Frost and Storm provide you with increased elemental damage, increased effect of non-damaging ailments, and again 10% chance to freeze, shock and ignite. So as you can see, we are stacking increased effect of non-damaging ailments here, over here, over here, and all over the tree. Yeah, so it's a case of that it's all going to help you in terms of your chill. What we'll do now is we'll jump now into POB, and we will go through the calculations a little bit more fine-tuned, and we'll go through all of the skill gems as well. So back in POB, so I'm going to run through these. So I'm just going to move my camera just obviously so that I'm not blocking any of the numbers, so I'm going to move it to there. There you go, so you can see everything. So now on the chart here, the one thing I wanted to show out, I'm going to go through this screen a little bit more detail in a minute. The main thing to look at is right here. We have 9 power charges and 9 frenzy charges. That is the golden number. You do need to get to this. Now you don't need to worry about the frenzy charges because your amulet will give you frenzy charges based on how many power charges you have. So all you need to focus on is getting your power charge to 9. That's it. Once you've hit that 9, you will hit 9 frenzy charges, and that will then help you with everything else that's in this. Okay, now we're going to go through the skills, then I'm going to come back to this in more detail. So the skills, so as you can imagine, for your main hand weapon, for your Poet's Pen, you need Path of Wintry Blast. Again, as high level as possible. If you can get a 21, 23, that will obviously give you an extra added bit of damage. If you want, then we go for increased critical damage, level 21, and then we have a power charge on crit for level 21. Now the reason why we do this is because we're not running Ralakesh Impatience boots, so we do need some source of something to trigger our power charges and to keep them up. So basically we need this, plus it gives us with more damage as well. Then what we want to do is we then want to move on to our shield. So on our shield we then have Empower. Now because of the +1, that is then obviously providing us with a +1 to the level of this gem, which then gives us +4 to the level of all of our gems that are within this, all of our supported skill gems. Inspiration obviously is +1, and that obviously then helps with the reduction in the mana cost. And Awaken Cold Penetration, again you can run just regular cold penetration if you need and you don't have the money for this just yet. That obviously is level 6, and that gets pushed up to level 7, so that gives you a little bit of extra damage. That is for the cold penetration, and obviously it also inflicts cold exposure on hit. So there is 2 types of exposure, one from your gloves and one from this. Next we're going to move on to the helmet. So from the helmet, we are literally just running with haste. Again, level 20. You can go for 21 if you want, doesn't really matter. The only issue is though that if you go for 21, the dex requirement does go up to 159. So if you are dex starved and you are struggling, which I am not at the moment, so I could level this up and get another few percent attack speed, another what, 1% attack speed, then that will help. So that will always just push it that little bit higher. Enlighten, obviously level 4 Enlighten, you are going to need that, obviously, otherwise it's going to be very expensive. Level Enlighten at the moment is about 70 Divine, just to be warned. And a level 21 Zealotry obviously helps you with crit strike chance, and obviously provides you with a bit of area of effect, but that area of effect is for Zealotry and providing it to other people, and obviously it provides you with spell damage as well. Moving on now to our chest. Oh yeah, sorry, for the way, you probably noticed there isn't a 4 link. The 4th gem is just a portal gem. There's nothing really, there's nothing to put in there because you're going to run out of mana. You need mana. Now to move on to the chest, which I can't find. There we go. So we are running with a Bone Chill, level 21. Just so obviously you can then apply a bit of chill onto the enemies. Obviously it provides you with increased cold damage and obviously provides you with chilling areas. Now everything else you can get to level 21 if again you have the dex requirement, because some of these will get pushed up. So for example, Frenzy will get pushed up to 159 again. So now that I have the dex requirements, I could probably push all these to level 21, which will then probably increase the damage just a little bit. So additional accuracy, obviously you want to try and go for that on level 21 if you can. Frenzy, obviously you can go for level 21 again, but you need increased dex to be able to do it. Faster attacks, obviously you can put that to level 21 if you wanted. That will give you what, an extra 1% attack speed. And greater multiple projectiles, again you can put that to level 21 because the dex requirement on that is very low. Enhance is going to massively help with all of the qualities, and what we do is in terms of the chest, and I'll just go flick quickly back to the game, you do need a 4 green 2 red chest. So what you do is you put the Bone Chill in the red for the +2 to level, and you put the greater multiple projectiles in the red one, sorry, for the plus levels. All of the others you put in the green so that you can make the most of the quality in terms of the additional quality that it provides. So Frenzy quality provides you with more attack speed, faster attacks provides you with more attack speed, greater multiple projectiles provides you with I think it provides you with increased projectile damage, but obviously we're not going for that on that. And Bone Chill, obviously that provides levels, so that helps with more cold damage. Moving on now to the boots. So the boots, we're literally running a 2-link setup. So if I show you in game, you'll see what I mean. So we're running a 2 blue and a 2 green. It's not a 4-link. The 2 blue is Spellslinger and Assassin's Mark. Now what Spellslinger does is it will reserve a bit of your mana, but what it will then do is obviously it then basically casts that skill. So as you can see there, it says supports skill gems with no reservation, and what it will do, it says reserve on your mana, and it will trigger when you fire projectiles from a wand. Now we are triggering it every time we fire our wand. Now as you saw in the intro, that is very fast. It's constantly being triggered. So this is obviously going to be obviously using your going to be casting Assassin's Mark all the time. So if you come across any rares, it instantly provides increased crit strike chance, critical multiplier, and then when they die, they then obviously give you a life and mana. So that obviously helps. The other 2-link setup is Blood Rage and Enhance. So Blood Rage provides you with 23% increased attack speed. Again, I had this at level 15, but because of the dex requirement, if you really wanted to, you could potentially push this up to level 21 if you had the dex requirement, and that would then provide you with a bit more attack speed, and obviously the Enhance would then increase your supported skill gems. Now what I've just done is obviously in doing all of that, I have just increased all the levels because I want to check the figures triggers in a minute, and I want to see if it's gone down or go up. Now Immortal Call, obviously this is for a bit of a defensive setup. You have a level 5 Immortal Call, cast when damage level 3, an inspiration, and then an increased duration. So basically, if you do get hit, it will then instantly trigger Immortal Call, which then means that you then take less elemental and less physical damage. And obviously that's per endurance charge. So because you're running with 4 endurance charges, that means that you're taking a hell of a lot less physical damage. Obviously inspiration reduces the cost because it will have to trigger it, so there is a mana cost. And then increased duration means that the duration of the skill is then increased, so it then runs for a certain amount of time. Now with all of that, that is all of the skill gems. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to jump into the calculations here, and I'm just going to have a quick check. Yes, that does make it better. Let me just check. 14 point. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So I've not done this as of yet. This is obviously theory crafting, but as you can see there, the trigger rate cap is 15.15. If we leveled all of our gems to 21 as we've just done then, that puts us at 14.95. So we are like what, 20.2 away from hitting the cap. The only way that I can see that you can probably hit that is if you rolled the attack speed on the gloves. Now if you want to do that, that's fine, but at the moment I think it's fast enough. If you really want to go Giga Chad and you want to go super fast, then that's entirely your decision. But yeah, that is pretty crazy in terms of the actual effective trigger rate. So 14.95, so that is how many times that you will trigger per second. So 14 triggers per second, so that's insane. Now I said before about cooldown reduction. Now the reason why that we are running all of this cooldown reduction is because we need it. So as you can see here, we are running with 90 from the Badge of the Brotherhood. That is because you are running 9 power charges, which gives you 9 frenzy charges. That then gives you 90% cooldown reduction on your travel skills. So there's your 90. This is why it's crucial that you get 9 and that you get a max roll badge for the 10, because you won't get 90 otherwise. Plus the 80% from the Stampede, plus the 50% from the Watcher's Eye, plus the 30 from the Fleetfoot Anoint, plus the 15 from the dual cast on the tree, plus another 15 from the tree. So that's 280% cooldown reduction on your build so far. Now that is a lot of cooldown reduction. As you can see there, it does say there you would need another 378% cooldown reduction to reach the next breakpoint. Now I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that is actually possible. I actually sat there the other day and thought about it, and I could probably get maybe another 100 if I squeezed cooldown into my charms. If I put cooldown on a that which was taken, if I put cooldown on maybe, I'm trying to think now, I think maybe if you put it on could you do it on the belt? Could you put it on, I'm trying to think, could you do it on the belt? No, you couldn't do it on the belt because you need the attack speed. No, you couldn't do it. So that is basically as best as you're going to get in terms of 15.15. I could probably push this to that if I roll the attack speed on my gloves, which I will have a play with that off stream, but you need it to hit 15.15. I think if you go over that, it will then start to mess around with the trigger rate and it may go down. So I've just had a quick play around with the attack speed, and I've put the attack speed on the gloves. I put 8%. That is the magic figure. If you go any higher, or if you go any higher, everything starts to go wrong. Plus 8% is easily achievable if you just hit it with your ecos. I think it's searing, not searing exarch. And for the diamond flask, not the diamond flask, the attack speed on the flask, I actually had to reduce that down to 15, not 17. When I had it at 17, if I just show you here, if you look at the attacks right now, it's now at 15 point. The effective trigger is 15.7, which means that the trigger rate is 15.14. So we're like 0.1 away. So, and I don't think I can get that, because if I go 1% up, it drops down too much. And if I go 1% down, everything goes down. So I'm like smack bang on the sweet spot right now. So it's a case of if I start to change things start to mess around. I'll show you what I mean. So if I just go in here and go to edit, if I change this to 14, sorry, no, if I change it to 16, sorry, let's go up 1%. Okay, so if you look on the left here, see it says 15.14 on the left here. If I save that, it goes down to 15.10. So that means that with that 1%, it's too much, it's going down now. So then if I go back in again and go down 1% to 14 and save that, I'm at 15.13. So the figure that I had earlier, which was 15, is the sweet spot. So basically every single number that I have on here needs to match your build. So if it says on the gloves 8%, you need 8%. Don't go over, don't try and get max roll, get 8%. If the flask says 15%, get 15%. Don't go for max roll, because it will hinder the trigger rate. Every single percent is perfect. So you want to try and make sure that this is right. It's look 15.15, 15.17, 15.14. It's pretty much perfect. If I go to frenzy now, frenzy is at 15.17. So attack speed is now 316, which is, I'm going to say that is ideal. Now I did this after I recorded everything else, so obviously I'm going to jump back to obviously what I recorded, so the figures may look different on screen from when I flick back, but I just wanted to just put this in just to show you obviously what you can get it to. I am going to provide, I'm just going to save this, I am going to provide this path of building in the description below, so you know what you're working towards. I just wanted to just do it just for my sakes as well, just so that I know what I'm giving you guys is right and that it's the best in terms of speed, and it's pretty much 0.01 away. If you can get that 0.01, then well done. But yeah, that's just thought I'd just put that in there. In terms of the charms, let's quickly go through them now. So the 3 charms that I am running, the main one that I think that you need is this one. 12% increased attack speed for 20 seconds when you kill a rare or unique enemy. So when you kill a rare enemy, you will instantly get a further 12%, which will then increase your trigger rate even more. Then the 1% attack damage leached as life obviously does help, because obviously you are constantly doing attack damage with your frenzy. 1% increased crit strike chance while at maximum power charges. You should always be at maximum power charges, so that gives you a bit more crit. Resistances, because we need resistances, and then mana reservation to help with the reservations, and again more elemental resistances. Now you could go for 20% elemental resistances, but you would be very expensive, but it's not needed. It's a bit of an overkill. That is basically it in terms of the build. And I've gone through all of the items. It does, as you can see here, it does around about 44.8 million damage at the moment. And in terms of frenzy doesn't really do that much. It hits for 124,000. That is not the real damage dealing part of it. The Poet's Pen will do 44.8 million per hit that it does. So obviously with the amount of triggers that we are doing, obviously we're doing 3 million per hit, but we're hitting 14.95 a second. So because of how fast you are hitting, it is 44.8 million. In terms of effective hit pool, obviously it's 34,000, which isn't too bad. It's not amazing, it's not super squishy, but it's not super tank. But you can respectively do maps without an issue, and stuff should be dying that quickly, and you should be moving that fast that nothing should be able to really hit you unless it's maybe like an AoE explosion. This build, I will say, does excel, and it does do very well in outside maps, i.e. Strand, Mesa, Jungle Valley, Tropical Island, Bog. Anything that is outside Inside maps like Maze, Cursed Crypt, Crimson Temple, you are gonna come across a bit of a struggle because you're gonna keep bumping into walls and bumping into doors and doorways. So I would recommend that if you are going to do this build, try and keep it so that all your maps are outside. It does very, very well in June's map. June's map it absolutely loves, just because of how big and open, and there's no obstructions. You can fly around that map at full speed ahead. Racecourse as well is a very nice map, and it literally is like a little racecourse. You can just go round and round and round like a little NASCAR and just push the build to full speed. I will bear in mind though that your build only lasts at full speed as long as you are killing enemies, because the build is underpinned by the flask. The flask with the 25% reduced mana cost. As soon as that flask runs out or you run out of charges, it will then start to cost mana. So it's a case of that this is not for boss killing. It can kill map bosses, that's fine, because you should just be able to go in there and one-shot it. But in terms of actual boss killing, like Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds, you can give it a go, but it's not made for that. It's made for flying through maps in less than 10 seconds or 10-second build. It can go around Mesa in less than 10 seconds, and then if you want to then just cut through the middle, kill the boss, boom, you're out. Less than 20 seconds and you will have done the map. I don't know any build that can go in and out of a map in less than 20 seconds apart from this one. maybe Tornado Shot, Lightning Warp last league, but this is just on another level. And obviously Resistance is you don't need to worry about movement speed because it's just ridiculous. You move fast enough as it is. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Obviously I've not updated this since obviously I added in my Taste of Hate, so obviously I need to pull that information through, and I need to have a mess around with obviously whether that attack speed on the gloves would obviously push it that little bit more, but I feel that it would. So yeah, it's a very good build. It's a very good build. It's very fast. If you have any questions or any queries or any problems, or if there's anything that you have any questions about, throw us a message in the chat. If you like the build and you like my content, then throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, and I will continue doing build videos probably next league. Now this is probably the last video for the in terms of build guides for this league. I just wanted to come back to this one because it was playing on my mind. It was bugging me with a few of the comments saying that it wasn't hitting maximum potential. And for the people that know me, I am a bit of a min-maxer. I will like to try and push a build to the absolute extreme and get it all the way to the point in which it's pretty much maxed. And then at that point I'll probably play it for a few days and then I'll swap build, just because I'm like, I've done it, I've achieved it, I've achieved my goal, I've achieved what I wanted. So that is what I like to do. So that's what I'm going to do next league. I probably won't play, I may play a version of this build, I don't know, because it was very expensive and it's not something you cannot league start with this. You would be a lot slower, probably about 4 casts a second, which is not ideal on a budget. But obviously if you have a very big budget, then you could potentially take it to the 15, but we are pretty much, as you can see there, 14.95. We're practically there. It's like this close. So I'm going to try and see if I can squeeze it to that 15.15 in a minute. If I can, then I will throw the updated POB in the comments, in the description, and obviously you can then have a play around with it. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I would like to say thank you for everyone that has watched any of my build guides for the last, I think it's for the last month and a half. It's been a bit of a hell of a ride in terms of the amount of views. The channel has kind of exploded in terms of views. The TFT saga kind of had a role to play in that. But I'd just like to sincerely say thank you for everyone that's watched my videos and helped me. I am wanting to grow this channel bigger, so if there's anyone that you know that's joining Path of Exile that doesn't know anything about the game, is unsure of what to do, if you go onto my channel and go back about a month or two, there is a bunch of videos on there to do with all the third-party tools, how to do POB, how to use path of building, how to get from tier 1 to tier 16 maps. There's an act guide in there from act 1 to act 10, which I am going to be redoing in about a month's time, I am going to be completely redoing everything from Act 1 to Act 10 again, and I'm going to do it even faster, maybe with this build. Or we may do it with a different build, but I'm going to bring everything that I learnt back in November into the new videos. So we're going to make a more slick video of Act 1 to Act 10, because I feel that by the time this next season of Path of Exile has ended, everyone's going to be playing Path of Exile 2. So I would like to make sure that there is a very slick Act 1 to Act 10 progression videos, the series that people can use if they ever wanted to go back, or if they forgot how to get through the acts, or if they're brand new to the game, they can go through it. Because I'm going to be focused on Path of Exile 2 come July, if I manage to get a beta key, but we will see. But anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Any questions, throw us in the comments, and I will be look forward to reading them. And till the next video, stay sane, Exile.